Hello and welcome to another edition of On Our Terms, a video series by AIA Contract Documents. Today we are going to be talking about the A305-2020 Contractor's Qualification Statement, which is a brand new document being offered and released by AIA Contract Documents. As always, we are your hosts, Mike Koger and Jimmy Germano. We are both staff attorneys at the AIA working in the Contract Documents section. It's important to remember, as with all of these videos, that nothing you hear is provided as legal advice, and the best thing that you can do is to consult an attorney licensed in your jurisdiction who can give you advice and recommendations based on the specific facts and circumstances at issue in your case and with your project. And with that, I will hand it over to Mr. Koger to talk us through the A305 Contractor's Qualification Statement. Mike?
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jimmy. So to understand the A305 Contractor's Qualification Statement, we have to go all the way back to the mid-1980s. So up until very recently, if you were to search our library of contract documents for the A305, you'd only find the 1986 version of this document. And for a document that would be considered, on the older spectrum of a millennial, if it were a person, it actually still works pretty well. It doesn't have mentions of things like BIM, sustainability. It doesn't even have prompts for a contractor to insert their job site safety program. But the 86 version is a fairly competent document, and it will be offered on our site for, I believe we have a phase-out period of about a year and a half. This fall, we're actually going to be publishing a new version of the A305 that has truly been brought into the 21st century. And that's what this video is all about. We're going to be talking about the new and improved A305 and kind of walk you through some of the changes and the way it works. So the first thing to understand about the A305 is that it is a sworn statement under oath. So the contractor is going to be swearing under oath that the information included in the qualification statement is true and sufficiently complete so as not to be misleading. This certification was included in the 1986 version, and we carried that forward into the 2020 version as well. So you'll see this on the very first page of the A305. Practically speaking, sometimes owners dispense with this requirement and allow a contractor to just go ahead and submit qualifications without the sworn statement. But if you want that extra level of emphasis on the importance of providing accurate information, then certainly have the contractors sign the certification statement and get it notarized. So after that, things get a little bit different when you start comparing the 1986 version of this document to the new 2020 version. The 2020 version is modular, meaning that it consists of a one-page main document that includes the contractor certification, and it lists exhibits that can be attached to it. And these are the 5 exhibits that you can potentially attach to the contractor's qualification statement. The 1986 version did not have this modularity. It was just a simple one document that kind of worked for all purposes. And the way we've structured this is we've, after talking with contractors over the last few years and other folks in the industry, we've realized that, there are different scenarios and different information that are required from contractors when owners are asking them to fill out a qualification statement. So sometimes an owner might want to get and to pre-qualify a contractor broadly for a potential range of projects. And so if that's the case, Exhibit A, general information should be filled out because it does not contain any project-specific qualifications. I'm going to go through these a little bit slower in the next few slides, but this is a big overview. Exhibit B contains financial and performance information, the kind of stuff that you might want to, if you're a contractor, you might want to hold this stuff as confidential or designate it as confidential in some way because it is certainly more sensitive information about a contractor's financial status and some of their past performance as well. Exhibit C is project-specific information. So as that implies, if you are a contractor who is going after a very specific project and you have a specific team in mind or a particular office out of which the project is going to be performed, you'll want to use Exhibit C. Exhibit D and E are both similar exhibits, but it is really just a matrix that I'll show you here in a moment that where the contractor can put some pertinent information about past projects. Okay, so Exhibit A is really the most basic information that the owner is going to want from a contractor. All the other exhibits are somewhat optional, but you'll at least want to have one Exhibit A completed. It includes things that, very basic, like the contractor's legal name, details about how the contractor's business is registered with the state that they're in, and that kind of stuff sounds very basic, but if you're an owner who's going to be spending millions of dollars to hire a contractor to build a project, you want to know who you're doing business with. You'll want to know their tax identification number, those kinds of things. Exhibit A also includes some new items that were not in the 1986 version. For example, it includes a prompt for the contractor to describe any pre-construction phase services that they might offer, things like cost consulting, scheduling of work. Contractors are now pretty routinely providing those kinds of services, and so owners may want to know what they can offer. It also includes things like BIM capabilities, and for the organization, the contractors to identify those kinds of things, or to identify if they're a small business concern or have some other kind of a special status that an owner might want to know about. But these are all things that are generally applicable to the contractor's business, not necessarily to a particular project. Exhibit B is where you're going to find the financial and performance information, and by performance we really mean disclosures about disputes that the contractor might be involved with, or disciplinary actions against the contractor. We separated this one out because it's not always that owners want this kind of information, but when contractors do turn over this information, it is a bit more sensitive, so it is a separate exhibit. It's certainly not uncommon at all for contractors to find themselves entangled in disputes from time to time. That's just kind of part of the business of being a contractor, but Exhibit B is where you'll find all of those disclosures about those kinds of things. Exhibit C is where you're going to find information and qualifications that are project specific. So if you're a national contractor with offices all over the country and you're going to be proposing to do work out of your Phoenix office with a certain staff, this is where you're going to include that kind of information. There's also new questions in this section about the contractor's safety program and about the insurance that the contractor has that will be available for the particular project. And lastly, Exhibits D and E are a very simple matrix for contractors to include information about their past projects. It's very helpful sometimes for an owner to see, well, what are past similar projects that you've done that I can go, drive by and see if I like them or not. So this matrix kind of allows a uniform way for contractors to provide that information to owners. And that's really a big picture of the A305 qualification statement. I should also mention that it is entirely possible to do more than one qualification statement. For example, at the very beginning of an engagement with an owner, the owner may only need your initial, Exhibit A general information just to get a sense for who you are as a contractor and get your basic kind of business structure and that kind of thing. But as a project is identified and as you get a little bit further down the path of potentially hiring a contractor, the owners may want them to fill out Exhibit C that gives a little bit more specifics about the particular project that the contractor is proposing to do work on. So you can certainly use this kind of modular structure of A305 in a number of different ways. So that's it. That's the new A305. Jimmy, any other thoughts about this document?
Mike, I just have a question. I know some of our documents have like a guide or like instructions or some kind of educational material on the website that accompanies the document to provide instructions like how to fill it out or answer some frequently asked questions or something. Is that kind of information also included with this document if people have more questions about this?
Yeah, good question. I think we do have instructions for this document that kind of walk you through how it can be filled out and kind of give some more explanation on some of the prompts. I think, yeah, for the most part, the way this document is written, all of the prompts are very easy to understand. It's things like explain your capabilities with BIM and how you use BIM on a project, or explain your pre-construction phase services that you might offer. The one thing that might trip people up is how to assemble this document because it is kind of modular. This video, I think I just described in decent detail, but we also have in our instructions kind of a bit more information on how to assemble this document to fill it out.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Thanks.
Excellent. Yeah, and that's one of those things with all of our documents. We have instructions for almost all of them. People don't tend to look at them, but they are very helpful. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and perhaps subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to see more content like this. You can also find more about AIA contract documents at aiacontracts.org. Particularly our /learn page has a lot of resources on it. And if you have questions about the content of our documents, we do have a docinfo service where you can email us. It's on the slide here. It's docinfo@aia.org. You can answer questions about our documents there. And if you have technical support questions about our software, how it works, and how you go about finalizing documents, you can email us to docstechsupport@aia.org. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.